The Love Detective. Part 1. In a big city, there was a private investigator named Jack. Jack was a tall man with dark hair and a serious face. He wore a long coat and always had a look of doubt in his eyes. Jack did not believe in love. He thought it was just a game people played. His job was to find out if people were cheating on their partners. He was good at it and had many clients. One rainy day, Jack was in his small office. The walls were covered with pictures of happy couples and posters that said, "Love is blind." But Jack did not care about love. He sat at his desk, looking at some papers. The sound of rain tapping on the window was the only noise in the room. Suddenly, the door opened, and a woman walked in. She was beautiful. Her hair was long and golden, and she had bright blue eyes. She looked sad and worried. Jack noticed her right away. He had seen many sad faces before, but something about her touched his heart. "Hello, I'm Jack," he said, trying to sound professional. "How can I help you?" The woman took a deep breath. "My name is Emily. I think my boyfriend is cheating on me," she said, her voice shaking. "I need your help to find out the truth." Jack leaned back in his chair. He had heard this story many times before. People came to him, thinking their partners were unfaithful. Sometimes they were right, but often they were just worried. "Why do you think he is cheating?" he asked, trying to stay neutral. Emily looked down at her hands. "He has been acting strange lately. He comes home late and never answers his phone when I call. He always has excuses. I don't know what to think anymore." Jack thought about what she said. He could see the pain in her eyes. "What is your boyfriend's name?" he asked. "His name is Tom," Emily replied. "We have been together for 2 years. I love him very much, but now I feel like I don't know him at all." Jack nodded. "I will help you, but I have to tell you that finding the truth can sometimes hurt. Are you ready for that?" Emily nodded. "I just want to know. I need to know if I can trust him or not." "Okay," Jack said. "I will follow him and see what he does. I will find out if he is cheating or not. But remember, you must be strong, no matter what I find." Emily wiped a tear from her eye and smiled weakly. "Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it." After Emily left, Jack felt something strange inside him. He usually did not care about his clients. He was just there to do his job. But Emily was different. He wanted to help her, not just for the money but because he felt a connection with her. Jack decided to follow Tom the next day. He prepared his equipment, a small camera, a notebook, and a pair of binoculars. He was ready to uncover the truth. The next morning, Jack parked his car near Emily's apartment. He waited and watched. Soon, he saw Tom leave the building. He was tall and had short brown hair. Jack noted down the time and began to follow him. Tom walked down the street and got into a car. Jack quickly got into his own car and kept a safe distance. He did not want Tom to see him. The sun was shining, and Jack felt nervous. He had never felt this way before while working. Usually, he was just focused on the job. But now, his heart was beating fast. Tom drove for a while and finally, he parked in front of a cafe. Jack parked his car a little further away. He took out his binoculars and looked through them. Tom got out of the car and went inside the cafe. Jack took notes, watching carefully. After a few minutes, Jack saw a woman walk into the cafe. She had long brown hair and was wearing a red dress. Tom smiled when he saw her, and they hugged. Jack's heart sank. Was Tom cheating on Emily? He felt a mix of emotions. He wanted to be angry at Tom for hurting Emily, but he also felt something else. He was interested in what was happening. Jack took pictures of Tom and the woman. They sat at a table together, laughing and talking. Tom looked happy. Jack felt a tight knot in his stomach. He wanted to stop watching, but he had a job to do. As time went by, Jack continued to observe them. He saw them share a dessert and even hold hands. This was not good. Jack thought about Emily. How would she feel when she saw these pictures? Would she cry? Would she hate Tom? Jack didn't want to think about it, but he had to. He had a responsibility to tell her the truth. Finally, after what felt like hours, Tom and the woman left the cafe. They walked to Tom's car, and Jack followed them. He felt a strange mix of hope and fear. He wanted to protect Emily, but he was also curious about what was happening. As they drove away, Jack decided to follow them. He felt like he was in a movie, and he was the hero trying to save the girl. But was he really? Did he want to save her? Or was he just falling for her? That question lingered in his mind as he drove behind them, unsure of what would happen next. Jack was deep in thought. The day had started as just another day at work, but now it was something more. He didn't just want to find the truth. He wanted to protect Emily. He had a job to do, but he was beginning to realize that his heart was in danger. 2. He was becoming involved in a story that was more than just cheating. It was about love, trust, and the search for happiness. What would happen when he told Emily the truth? How would he feel? Jack didn't know, but he was ready to find out. Part 2. Jack drove behind Tom and the mysterious woman, trying to stay far enough away so they wouldn't see him. His heart raced as he thought about what he might uncover. He followed them through the busy streets, feeling like a detective in a suspenseful movie. Every turn they took made him more curious. Tom parked the car in front of an apartment building. Jack's mind was racing. Why was Tom bringing the woman to his home? He felt a wave of anger wash over him. He knew that this could be the evidence Emily needed, but he also felt uneasy. He took out his camera and got ready to capture the moment. Tom and the woman got out of the car and walked towards the building. They were laughing and looked happy together. Jack snapped a few pictures, making sure to get clear shots of their faces. He needed to show Emily what was really happening. But deep down, he felt a nagging doubt. What if there was a good reason for this? As they entered the building, Jack's mind filled with questions. He decided to wait. Maybe they would come back out soon. He parked a little further away and leaned against his car, trying to act casual. But inside, he felt like a storm was brewing. After what felt like hours, Jack saw Tom and the woman leave the apartment building. They were still smiling and chatting. Jack quickly lifted his camera and took more pictures. They seemed to be in their own world, unaware of anyone watching them. Tom leaned in close to the woman, whispering something in her ear. She laughed and playfully pushed him away. Jack's heart sank. This was not just a friendly meeting. It looked like they were more than friends. Jack felt a mix of emotions. Anger for Emily and something else he couldn't quite understand. He followed them again as they walked back to the car. They got inside and drove away. Jack followed closely, determined to find out where they were headed next. They drove through the city until they reached a park. At the park, they parked and got out. Jack found a good spot to hide behind some bushes. He watched as Tom and the woman walked hand in hand along the path. They stopped at a bench and sat down together. Jack could see them talking and laughing. It was painful for him to watch. Then, something surprising happened. Tom pulled out a small box from his pocket and opened it. Jack squinted to see better. Inside was a beautiful silver bracelet. Tom took the bracelet out and gently put it on the woman's wrist. She gasped in surprise and joy. Jack's heart sank even further. This was not just a casual meeting. This was serious. Tom smiled as he looked at her, and she beamed back at him. They leaned in closer, and Jack could see the way they looked at each other. It was the kind of look that said they were in love. Jack's hands shook as he took more pictures. He thought about Emily. How would she feel when she saw these? Would she cry? Would she be heartbroken? Jack didn't want to imagine her pain. But he knew he had to tell her the truth. After a while, Tom and the woman stood up from the bench. They hugged tightly, and Jack felt a twinge of jealousy. He had never felt this way before, especially not about a client. But he couldn't deny it. He was beginning to feel something for Emily too. Tom and the woman walked back to the car, still smiling and talking. Jack decided to follow them one last time. They drove around for a while, and Jack felt a mix of fear and excitement. What if Tom was really cheating? What would happen when he confronted Emily with the truth? Finally, Tom parked again, this time outside a small restaurant. Jack felt a knot in his stomach. He watched as they entered the restaurant, still holding hands. Jack leaned back in his seat, trying to think. He knew he had to report back to Emily soon. He felt like a detective from a classic film. But this was real life, and the stakes were high. He thought about the pictures he had taken. They would tell a story, but it was a painful one. As he waited in his car, Jack felt overwhelmed. He didn't just want to be the guy who uncovered infidelity. He wanted to protect Emily, and yet he was also drawn to her. Why was he feeling this way? After a long time, Tom and the woman finally left the restaurant. They seemed even happier now, laughing and sharing jokes. Jack snapped a few more pictures before they got into the car. He felt like he was watching a movie unfold, but the reality was much more complicated. Tom drove the woman back to her apartment building. Jack parked his car down the street, unsure of what to do next. He had the evidence he needed, but he was scared. How would he deliver the news to Emily? He took a deep breath and thought about what she must be feeling. She trusted him to find the truth, and now he had to deliver it. He knew he had to act fast before Tom and the woman did something else. Jack pulled out his phone and sent Emily a message. "Can we meet? I have some important information." He felt a sense of dread wash over him. He was about to change Emily's life forever. He waited for her response, his heart pounding. After a few minutes, his phone buzzed. It was Emily. "Yes, I can meet you at the cafe down the street. What time?" Jack replied, "I'll be there in 20 minutes. He took one last look at the restaurant where Tom and the woman had just been. Then, he drove to the cafe, knowing that he was about to tell Emily something that would change everything. As he parked outside the cafe, he thought about how difficult this would be. But he had a duty to her. He had to be strong, even if it hurt. He walked inside and found a table. He sat there, waiting for Emily, his mind racing with thoughts of what to say. When Emily arrived, she looked worried but hopeful. "Jack, what's going on?" she asked, sitting down quickly. Jack took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "Emily, I followed Tom today. I have something to show you." He pulled out his camera and began to show her the pictures. As she looked at them, he could see the shock on her face. Jack's heart ached for her. He knew that soon, she would have to face the truth. Part 3. Emily stared at the pictures in disbelief. Each photo showed Tom and the mysterious woman laughing, holding hands, and sharing tender moments. Jack felt a knot in his stomach as he watched her face change from confusion to shock and then to anger. "Is this real? Is this really happening?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling. She looked up at Jack with wide eyes. "What does this mean? I thought Tom loved me." Jack reached across the table, wanting to comfort her. "I'm so sorry, Emily. I didn't want to hurt you, but I had to show you the truth. I thought it was important for you to know what's really going on." Emily blinked rapidly, trying to process everything. But why would he do this? We were happy, or at least I thought we were. Tears filled her eyes, and Jack's heart broke for her. "I don't know why he would cheat on you," Jack said softly, "but it looks like he has feelings for this woman. They were so close, and it seemed serious." He tried to keep his voice steady, but he felt a wave of emotion himself. Emily pushed the pictures away and covered her face with her hands. "I can't believe this. I trusted him. I thought we were building a life together." Her voice was muffled, filled with pain. Jack wanted to reach out and pull her into a hug, but he hesitated. He didn't want to overstep his boundaries. Instead, he just sat there, offering silent support as she processed the betrayal. After a few moments, Emily looked up, anger replacing her sadness. "I can't believe he would do this to me. I deserve better." Her voice was stronger now, filled with determination. Yes, you do, Jack agreed. You deserve someone who will love and respect you. Tom has shown that he isn't that person. Emily wiped her tears and took a deep breath. What should I do now? Should I confront him? Jack thought for a moment. That's a tough decision. Confronting him could lead to more hurt, but you deserve answers. You need to know why he did this. Emily nodded slowly, her brow furrowed in thought. I just can't believe this is happening. I thought he was the one. Jack felt a mix of sadness and frustration. He wished he could take away her pain. You deserve someone who truly cares for you, someone who would never betray your trust. Emily sighed, looking down at the table. Maybe I should just end it now. It hurts too much to think about him being with someone else. That might be the best choice, Jack said gently. You deserve to be happy and free from this kind of pain. They sat in silence for a while, both lost in their thoughts. Jack could see the hurt in Emily's eyes, and it made him want to help her even more. But he also felt something else, a growing attraction towards her. He had never felt this way about a client before. Finally, Emily broke the silence. Thank you for telling me the truth, Jack. I know it wasn't easy for you. I just wanted to help you, he replied. I didn't want to see you hurt. Emily smiled faintly, but the sadness still lingered in her eyes. What if I hadn't known? I would have been living a lie. Exactly, Jack said. You deserve to know the truth, no matter how painful it is. Emily took another deep breath, her determination returning. Okay, I'll confront him. I can't let him get away with this. But I'm scared, Jack. What if he tries to make excuses? I'll be with you, Jack offered quickly. You don't have to face him alone. I'll support you no matter what. Emily looked at him with gratitude. Thank you, Jack. It means a lot to me. Jack felt a warmth spread through him. He realized he wanted to be there for her. Not just as a detective, but as a friend. Maybe even more. They finished their drinks, and Jack could see Emily's confidence building. All right, let's do this, she said, her voice steady. I'm ready to face him. Okay, Jack said, standing up. Let's go. Just remember, whatever happens, you are strong. You'll get through this. Emily nodded, her expression resolute. As they walked out of the cafe, Jack felt a rush of protectiveness towards her. He knew this would be a tough confrontation, but he wanted to be by her side every step of the way. They drove to Tom's apartment, the silence in the car heavy with anticipation. Jack kept glancing at Emily, who looked both determined and anxious. He wished he could take her pain away, but all he could do was support her. When they arrived, Emily took a deep breath before getting out of the car. Are you ready? Jack asked, looking at her. Yes, she replied firmly. I have to know the truth. As they approached the door, Jack felt his heart race. He wanted to protect her, but he also felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. What would happen when they confronted Tom? Emily knocked on the door, and they both waited nervously. Moments later, Tom opened the door, surprised to see them both standing there. His smile faded when he saw the serious look on Emily's face. "Emily, Jack, what's going on?" he asked. Confusion etched on his face. Emily took a deep breath, her heart pounding. "Tom, we need to talk. I know about you and the other woman." Tom's face went pale, and Jack could see him struggling for words. "What are you talking about?" Emily stepped forward, her voice steady. "I have pictures, Tom. I saw you with her. How could you do this to me?" Tom looked taken aback, his mouth opening and closing as he tried to find an explanation. "Emily, it's not what you think." Jack stood beside Emily, ready to support her. He wanted to make sure Tom didn't try to manipulate her or twist the truth. "No more lies, Tom," Emily said firmly. "I deserve to know the truth. Why were you with her?" Tom looked cornered, his expression shifting between guilt and anger. "I can explain. It was just a mistake." Emily's eyes blazed with hurt. "A mistake? You think it's just a mistake to betray someone you claim to love?" Tom's expression changed. He looked guilty, but he also looked defensive. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I was confused." Jack stepped in, his voice calm but firm. "Emily deserves honesty. Tom, you owe her that much." Tom hesitated, then finally said, Okay, I'll tell you everything." Emily crossed her arms, her expression a mix of anger and pain. "You better not hold back." As Tom began to explain, Jack could see the tension in the room. This was a moment that would change everything. He hoped that whatever Tom said would bring Emily the clarity she needed. Jack stood beside her, ready to support her no matter what happened. He knew that this was just the beginning of a long journey for both of them. Part 4. Tom took a deep breath, looking back and forth between Emily and Jack. The air felt thick with tension. "I didn't want to hurt you, Emily. It just happened," he said, his voice shaky. Emily narrowed her eyes, refusing to let his words sway her. "What do you mean it just happened? You didn't just stumble into a relationship with someone else. You chose to be with her instead of me." I know, Tom said, his voice rising slightly in panic. "But I felt like we were drifting apart. I thought you didn't care about me anymore. So when she came along, Emily interrupted, her anger boiling over. "You thought I didn't care? How could you think that? I put my heart and soul into our relationship, and this is how you repay me." Jack felt a surge of empathy for Emily. He wished he could take away her pain, but all he could do was support her through this. "You deserve better than this, Emily," he whispered softly, trying to remind her of her strength. Tom rubbed the back of his neck, clearly flustered. "I messed up, okay? But it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a fling. I was confused, and I made a terrible mistake." "A fling?" Emily echoed, her voice rising. "You think I'm just going to sit here and accept that? You broke my trust, Tom. It's not just a fling when you're lying to someone you love." Jack could see the pain in Emily's eyes, and he felt his heart ache for her. She had trusted Tom, and now he was throwing around excuses that were just words without meaning. "Look, Emily," Tom said, his voice turning pleading. "I can change. We can work through this together. I promise I'll do better." Emily shook her head, her resolve firm. "How can I believe anything you say? You've already shown me your true colors. Just give me another chance." Tom begged, desperation clear in his voice. "I love you. I never meant to hurt you." Jack could feel the anger rising within him. He wanted to step in and defend Emily, but he knew this was her moment. She needed to stand strong and make her own choices. "Love? This isn't love, Tom. Love doesn't cheat. Love doesn't betray trust," Emily replied, her voice steady. "If you really loved me, you wouldn't have done this." Tom's face fell as he struggled for words. I just didn't know what to do. I thought you were pulling away. I thought I was losing you, and I panicked." Jack watched as Emily's expression softened for just a moment, but then it hardened again. "That's no excuse for your actions. You chose to be with someone else instead of talking to me." Silence filled the room, and Tom looked defeated. "I was scared," he admitted finally. "I didn't want to lose you, but I didn't know how to reach out to you." Emily took a step back, her eyes reflecting a mix of sadness and anger. "Well, you did lose me. Trust is gone, and I can't stay in a relationship where I feel betrayed." "Please, Emily," Tom said, his voice desperate. "I'll do anything. Just tell me what to do." "Nothing you say can change what you've done," she replied firmly. "I need to think about my happiness. Right now, I don't feel happy with you." Tom's shoulders slumped as he realized the gravity of the situation. "So that's it? You're just going to walk away?" Emily met his gaze, unflinching. "Yes, I think it's best for both of us. I need to focus on myself now." Jack felt a wave of relief wash over him. He admired Emily's strength and courage to stand up for herself. This was the moment she needed to reclaim her power. "Can you at least give me a chance to explain?" Tom pleaded, his voice shaking. "Explain what?" Emily shot back. "There's nothing you can say that will make this okay. You've broken my heart." Tom's expression shifted, and for a moment, he looked truly remorseful. "I'm sorry, Emily. I never wanted to hurt you." Emily turned to Jack, seeking support. He gave her an encouraging nod, wanting her to feel empowered in her decision. "Let's go," she said, her voice firm. As they turned to leave, Tom called after them. "I'll always love you, Emily." She didn't respond, her heart heavy but resolute. Outside, the air felt different, lighter somehow, as if a burden had been lifted. Jack looked at her, admiration shining in his eyes. "You did great. I'm proud of you." Emily took a deep breath, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. "Thank you, Jack. I didn't think I could do that." "You're stronger than you know," he said softly. "It's okay to feel sad, but it's important to remember your worth." Emily smiled faintly. "I'll try to remember that." As they got into the car, Jack felt a strong desire to protect her. He knew she would need time to heal, and he wanted to be there for her every step of the way. The drive back was quiet, but it was a different kind of quiet. Emily seemed lost in her thoughts, and Jack didn't want to push her to talk. Instead, he focused on the road, hoping to give her the space she needed. When they arrived at Emily's apartment, she turned to Jack with gratitude in her eyes. "Thank you for being there for me, Jack. I really appreciate it." "Anytime," he replied. "If you need anything, just call me. I'm here for you." Emily nodded, her expression softening. I promise." As she got out of the car, Jack felt a wave of longing. He wanted to reach out, to hold her, to tell her that everything would be okay. But he also knew that she needed time to process everything. "Take care, Emily," he said gently, watching her walk toward her door. "Bye, Jack," she replied, giving him a small wave before disappearing inside. Once she was gone, Jack let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. This had been a difficult day, but he knew it was just the beginning. He wanted to help Emily find happiness again, even if it meant battling his own feelings for her. In the following days, Jack kept busy with work, but he couldn't stop thinking about Emily. He found himself checking his phone often, hoping to hear from her. Finally, a few days later, she texted him, "Emily, hey, can we meet? I really want to talk." Jack's heart raced. He quickly replied, "Jack, of course. When and where?" "Emily, how about the cafe we went to?" "Jack, sounds good. I'll see you there." As he prepared to meet her, Jack felt a mix of excitement and nerves. He hoped she was doing okay and that she had found some peace since their confrontation with Tom. When he arrived at the cafe, he spotted Emily sitting at a table near the window, her expression thoughtful. She looked up as he approached, and a small smile broke through her worried expression. "Hey," Jack said, taking a seat across from her. "How have you been?" Emily shrugged, her eyes reflecting a mix of emotions. "It's been tough. I'm still processing everything, but I feel a little better." "That's good to hear," Jack replied. "I'm here for you, whatever you need." "I appreciate that," Emily said, her smile growing. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened. I know it will take time, but I want to move forward." Jack felt a rush of hope. "That's a great mindset, Emily. It's important to focus on yourself now." They talked for a while, and Jack listened as Emily shared her thoughts and feelings. She opened up about her hopes for the future and her desire to find someone who would truly value her. As they spoke, Jack couldn't help but feel closer to her. He admired her strength and resilience, and he realized that he wanted to be more than just a friend. But he knew he had to tread carefully, as she was still healing from her recent heartbreak. "Jack, I've also been thinking about us," Emily said suddenly, catching him off guard. "What do you mean?" he asked, his heart racing. "I mean, I appreciate everything you've done for me. You've been so supportive, and it means a lot. I don't want to lose that," she said softly. Jack felt a spark of hope ignite within him. You won't lose me, Emily. I'm here for the long haul. I know that, she replied, her gaze steady. But I also don't want to rush into anything. I need time. Take all the time you need, Jack assured her. I'm here for you, no matter what. As they finished their drinks, Jack realized that this was just the beginning of a new chapter for both of them. Emily was strong, and he wanted to be part of her journey, no matter where it led. Part 5. In the weeks that followed, Jack and Emily spent more time together. They found comfort in each other's company, sharing laughter and stories. Each moment brought them closer, and Jack felt a warmth in his heart every time he saw her smile. Emily was slowly rebuilding her life. She focused on her work and started exploring new hobbies. Jack was always there, encouraging her to take on new challenges. They tried cooking classes, painting, and even hiking. Each adventure helped Emily heal, and Jack was happy to support her every step of the way. One sunny Saturday afternoon, Jack suggested they visit a local art fair. Emily loved art and had expressed interest in attending one of these events. Let's go. I think you'll enjoy it, he said, his eyes shining with excitement. Emily beamed. That sounds great. I've always wanted to see what local artists create. They arrived at the fair, which was buzzing with energy. Colorful tents were set up, displaying paintings, sculptures, and handmade crafts. The smell of delicious food filled the air, and laughter echoed from every corner. Look at that painting, Emily exclaimed, pointing at a bright canvas filled with swirling colors. It's so lively. Jack smiled, watching her eyes sparkle with joy. It really is. Let's go check it out. They wandered through the fair, stopping to admire the various artworks. Emily picked up a few small pieces to decorate her apartment, while Jack found a handcrafted mug that he thought would be perfect for his morning coffee. As they strolled, Jack noticed a booth with a sign that read, "Portraits in Minutes." "Want to try it?" he asked, gesturing toward the artist. Emily laughed, her face lighting up. Yes, that would be fun. They approached the booth, and a friendly artist greeted them. "Welcome. I can draw both of you together, or just one at a time," she said, her hands busy sketching. "Together," they both said in unison, grinning at each other. As the artist began to sketch, Jack and Emily posed, sharing silly expressions. They made faces and laughed, enjoying the moment. Jack felt a rush of happiness, realizing how much he treasured this time with Emily. After a few minutes, the artist held up the finished portrait. "Here you go. What do you think?" Emily's eyes widened in surprise. "Wow, that's amazing." Jack looked at the portrait, admiring how well the artist had captured their playful spirit. "It's perfect," he said, grinning. They thanked the artist and continued exploring the fair, carrying their new portrait with pride. As the day wore on, they found a quiet spot to sit and enjoy some snacks. Jack pulled out a sandwich he had bought earlier, and Emily shared some homemade cookies. They chatted about their lives, dreams, and hopes for the future. "You know," Jack said, his voice thoughtful, "I really admire how you've handled everything after Tom. It takes a lot of strength to move on." Emily smiled, feeling grateful for Jack's support. Thank you, Jack. I've had my moments of weakness, but I'm trying to be stronger. It helps to have you by my side. Jack felt his heart flutter at her words. I want to be there for you, Emily. You deserve all the happiness in the world. Emily looked at him, her eyes shining with emotion. That means so much to me. I never thought I could feel this way again after everything. They shared a comfortable silence, both reflecting on their feelings. Jack wanted to tell her how much she meant to him, but he hesitated. He didn't want to rush her, especially since she was still healing. Let's take a picture with our portrait, Emily suddenly suggested, breaking the silence. It'll be a great memory. Good idea, Jack replied, feeling excited. They positioned themselves next to their portrait, holding it up proudly as a stranger took their picture. Later, as they were getting ready to leave, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was a special moment. Emily, can I ask you something? He said, his voice a little nervous. Sure. What is it? She asked, turning to him with curiosity. Do you think maybe one day we could be more than friends? He asked carefully, gauging her reaction. Emily paused, looking thoughtful. Jack, I really enjoy our time together. You make me feel safe and happy, and I appreciate that. But I still need time to figure things out. Jack felt a mix of hope and disappointment. I understand. I just wanted you to know how I feel. Thank you for being honest, Emily said softly. It means a lot to me. I care about you too, but I'm still healing. I don't want to rush anything. I respect that, Jack replied, trying to hide his disappointment. I'm here for you, no matter what. They left the fair, both feeling a mix of emotions. Jack wanted to hold her hand, to tell her that everything would be okay, but he knew he had to be patient. As they walked back to the car, Emily turned to Jack with a smile. Thanks for today. I had a really great time. Me too, he replied, his heart warming at her happiness. Let's do this again soon. As they drove home, Jack felt a sense of hope. He knew that whatever happened, he would always support Emily. They had built a strong friendship, and he was determined to be there for her through thick and thin. That night, as Jack lay in bed, he thought about Emily. He felt grateful to have her in his life and hoped that in time, they could become even closer. But for now, he was content just being her friend. Little did they know, their bond would soon be tested as old secrets resurfaced, and Jack would have to decide how far he was willing to go for Emily. Part 6. As the days turned into weeks, Jack and Emily continued to grow closer, sharing laughter, adventures, and deep conversations. Jack felt a sense of peace whenever he was with her, but a part of him was still anxious. He worried that Tom's shadow might still linger over Emily's heart. One evening, while they were having dinner at a cozy restaurant, Emily's phone buzzed on the table. She picked it up and her face changed. It's a message from Tom, she said, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Jack felt a tight knot in his stomach. What does it say? Emily read the message silently, her brows furrowing. He wants to meet and talk. Do you want to? Jack asked, trying to keep his voice steady. I don't know, Emily replied, looking conflicted. I haven't seen him since the breakup. Part of me is curious, but another part of me feels scared. Whatever you decide, I'll support you, Jack said, trying to remain calm. Emily looked at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. Thank you, Jack. You've always been there for me. I need to think about it. Later that night, Jack couldn't shake the feeling of unease. He wanted to protect Emily from any more pain, but he also knew she had to face her past to truly heal. He made a decision. He would follow her to the meeting. The next day, Jack pretended he had work in the area. He parked his car a few blocks away and watched as Emily arrived at a cafe to meet Tom. He felt a mix of anxiety and determination. He wanted to make sure Emily was safe, no matter what happened. As he waited, Jack's mind raced with thoughts. He remembered all the times he had spent with Emily and how much he cared for her. He didn't want Tom to hurt her again. After a while, Jack saw Tom walk into the cafe. He was taller than Jack remembered, with an air of confidence that made Jack uneasy. Emily was already sitting at a table, looking nervous but brave. Jack waited outside, watching through the window. He could see the two of them talking, and he felt his heart race. He couldn't hear their conversation, but he could tell from their expressions that it was serious. After a few minutes, Jack noticed Emily's demeanor change. She looked upset, and Tom seemed to be getting more animated. Jack's protective instincts kicked in. He stepped closer to the entrance, ready to intervene if things escalated. Suddenly, Emily stood up, her face pale. "I can't do this," she exclaimed, her voice shaky. Tom reached for her arm, trying to pull her back. "Emily, wait. Just listen to me." That was it. Jack pushed open the door and strode into the cafe, his heart pounding. "Hey, is everything okay here?" Emily looked relieved to see Jack. "Jack!" Tom's expression turned from surprise to annoyance. "Who the hell are you?" "I'm someone who cares about Emily," Jack replied, standing protectively in front of her. "Stay out of this, man." "It's between me and her," Tom shot back, his tone aggressive. Emily stepped forward, her voice firm. "No, Tom. It's not just between us anymore. I'm not your girlfriend anymore. You don't get to control me." Jack felt pride swell in his chest at Emily's strength. "You need to leave, Tom," he said calmly but firmly. Tom scoffed, looking at Emily with disdain. "You think you can move on so easily? You'll always remember me." Jack stepped closer, keeping his voice low. "You're not going to intimidate her anymore. She's stronger than you think." Emily took a deep breath, her voice steady. "I've learned that I deserve better. I won't let you back into my life." Tom hesitated, seeing the determination in Emily's eyes. "Fine. But don't say I didn't warn you," he said, his voice dripping with disdain. He turned and walked out of the cafe, leaving Emily and Jack standing together. As the door swung shut behind Tom, A wave of relief washed over Emily. She turned to Jack, her eyes wide with emotion. "Thank you. I didn't know what to do." Jack wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close. "You did great, Emily. I'm so proud of you." After a moment, they broke apart, and Emily looked up at Jack with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you." Jack smiled, his heart swelling with affection. "I'll always be here for you." Days turned into weeks, and Emily began to heal from her past. With Jack by her side, she embraced new beginnings. They spent more time together, exploring new places and deepening their connection. One evening, while they were watching the sunset on the beach, Emily turned to Jack, her expression serious. "Jack, I've been thinking a lot about us. You've been so supportive, and I can't ignore how I feel anymore." Jack's heart raced as he met her gaze. "Emily, I care about you more than you know. I want to take a chance on us. I think we could be really happy together," Emily said, her voice trembling with hope. "Are you sure?" Jack asked, wanting to be certain. Emily nodded, her eyes sparkling with determination. "I'm ready to move forward. I want to be with you." Jack felt a rush of joy. "Then let's do this together." He took her hand, feeling as if they had crossed a new threshold. From that day on, Jack and Emily embarked on a new journey together. Their bond grew stronger, filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a bright future. They faced challenges together, knowing that they could overcome anything as long as they had each other. And as they walked hand in hand along the beach, both of them realized that love could bloom even in the most unexpected places. Together, they had discovered that true love was worth the wait.